Hello everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Hannah's Cuisines. Today we're going to be making a red curry with kebabs in it. The reason why I'm saying red curry is because there is a yellow curry that I've made also on YouTube that has a coconut milk inside with turmeric. So that's the yellow, we call it the yellow curry, and then this one is the red curry, which will have, crushed tomatoes and tomato paste and all that stuff in it. So let's get started. We're gonna have two sets of ingredients for two different things. One, we're gonna be marinating our ground beef here, which I have about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and we're gonna be marinating that with some spices. But before we get to that, let me just show you what we're gonna need for the curry. We're gonna need about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna need a couple red peppers. We're gonna need 1 teaspoon of ginger and garlic. Now this is we're gonna use the ginger and garlic in the ground beef and in the curry itself. We're also gonna be using parsley flakes, which we're gonna use in the ground beef and in the also in the curry. We're gonna be using half a can, which will be 7.5 ounces of crushed red tomatoes, and then we're going to be putting 2 tablespoons of tomato paste inside. Now this all will go in the curry. We will also be adding some of our powdered stuff in there, but we'll cover that later. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started with getting the curry going. And so then when we get all the spices into our ground beef, we can have that sitting, and then that will have to cook up before we make the curry itself. So let's go ahead and add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. We don't need much oil. I don't use much oil. And you can also use potatoes. If you want to put potatoes in this curry, you're welcome to. Just peel them, cut them into 1-inch cubes, and then add it after you add the onions in there. So now I forgot to mention here, I've got some onions here, and this is what it is. It's fried onions that you can get at any Asian store or Indian store. It's fried onions, and what you want to do with this is you want to put it in like crusher, and you just want to crush it so once the curry is done, it's not gonna have like the whole pieces of onions. And that's the reason why I'm not using fresh onion, is because this is one curry that I can't get rid of the onions. They kind of don't finish completely softening and getting inside the curry. So in here I'm going to go ahead and add less than 1/2 cup of onions. And and I forgot one thing. I forgot to add the ginger and garlic in here, and you just need about 1 teaspoon of that. We're gonna wait until the raw taste goes away. And I also forgot to mention that we're going to be adding just a little bit of water in here. And the reason for that is we don't want to burn our onions. And I want the steam, because once we cover it, the steam is gonna cook our kebabs. So I'm gonna put this on low, let this cook, and then for the kebabs, what we're gonna do is I'm going to add, again, about 1 teaspoon of ginger and garlic, some salt to taste, about 1/2 teaspoon of cumin and coriander powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garam masala, and I'm not going to put turmeric in here. So, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of chilies. And now if you come back here, you can see that the water is kind of evaporating. So go ahead and add a little bit more water in here. And the stove will go completely on low. Okay, so we come back here. Let's go ahead and add our parsley flakes in here. And I like to add this because I really like to see the green speckles in my kebabs. And then I'm gonna just add less than 1/2 teaspoon of lemon pepper, just so the kebabs are really nice and tasty. Now I'm just going to mix all this together. Now, you just want to take your kebabs and you want to roll them. Now, if you want to marinate this for about 20 minutes, that would be great. I really don't have time for marinating today since we're going to be eating in about 20 minutes. So now I'm going to start placing my kebabs into the oil or the onion mixture. I'm just going to press them just like that, make them round. And the kebabs really is how big you want to make them. If you want to make them really, really small, some people make them really small. You can do that. Now you can see that again our onions are a little bit getting drier, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water in here. So the water is just so that we want to make some steam in here to cook the kebabs. Now some people, once they make their curry, they add the raw kebabs in there. I'm just not comfortable doing that. I just don't do it. I don't like doing that. I feel like the water that comes out from the kebabs don't get cooked well enough. But that's just my opinion. If you want to do it that way, that's totally up to you. I just don't prefer it that way myself. Okay? So at this point, our first step of the curry is done. So what we're going to do is do that. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna cover this, and we're gonna turn our stove on completely medium low, and we're gonna let this cook for 7 to 10 minutes until the kebabs will be nice and brown and they'll be completely cooked through. So I'll come back in about 7 to 10 minutes and then we'll do the next step. So we've come here after about 8 minutes, and I want you to see, I haven't opened it. I was waiting to open it in front of you people. You can see that when I touch the kebabs, they feel firm. That tells me that they're almost or completely ready. All right, I'm gonna push them over to the side, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add about 2-3 dried red peppers in it. That's optional, completely up to you. And then we'll add the half a can of crushed tomatoes. If you have time and wanted to do fresh tomatoes, by all means go ahead. I just want to show you the fastest way of making the curry. All right, then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And if you don't like your curry very red, then bring it down to a tablespoon or completely omit it. That's completely fine. To that, we'll add half a teaspoon of cumin and coriander. I don't like using too many spices. I just feel like little spice goes a long way. It brings the taste. It doesn't get overpowering. I put half a teaspoon of garam masala and half a teaspoon of turmeric. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of salt in it. Salt to taste. I'm going to add a little bit of chili powders in here. Now, I'm not going to be eating this today, and that's the reason I'm just loading it up with chilies. But if you don't like too much chilies in there, then completely omit the chilies. If you like too much chilies, go ahead and add more. All right, so I'm just gonna mix this and cook it just a little bit, and I'll try and move it around. Now you see the reason why the kebabs are not breaking is because we didn't add any crumbs inside, any breadcrumbs in there. I feel breadcrumbs really makes the kebabs soft, and I kind of like my kebab them pretty firm, especially in my curry. All right, so I'm just making sure that I haven't forgotten anything. To that, I'm just going to add about half a cup of water, and that's just because I don't want to make my curry too thick. Okay, so at this point we're gonna cover it and then again let it cook for another 7 to 10 minutes, and that will really cook up the paste and the sauce and everything. So when we come back 7 to 10 minutes from now, our curry is completely going to be completely ready. So now it's been about 7 to 10 minutes. Our curry is ready. If you look here, you'll see a little bit of oil. Let me turn this so you can see it. It's not much because we didn't add too much in there, but some people add a lot of oil, so you'll see a whole lot of oil on there, and I just don't like too much oil. But here you go, you can see that it smells unreal here. It smells really, really good. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and put it in our bowl. And if you want to make it thinner than this, you're welcome to do it. You can just add some more vegetable stock, or you can even add just water in it, because there's already so much flavor in it that you don't really need to add the vegetable broth or anything else. You'll make sure that you want to do a taste test, just because you want to make sure that what might taste really good to me might taste salty or lemony to you. So just do your taste test to make sure that the flavors are all there for you. This is great if you want to go ahead and freeze it. It freezes really, really well too. So basically that's ready. I'm gonna give it a quick taste test here. I wanna open up the kebab in front of you so that I can show you the inside of it. So when we slice the kebab, see how firm it is, and that's how I like my kebab. It's fully cooked, and the wonderful taste is there for all the garam masala and everything we put on there or in there. If you want, you can sprinkle the dish with more fried onions and a little bit more garam masala if you like the strong taste of the curry. But other than that, it tastes amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Rehana's Cuisines. Hope you can join me here next time with another great video. Thank you, friends.